that.
You must have.
Or
I
we
haven't seen
just-
you in a while.
I know, I.
No, it,
like
like,
2
it's a
months
whole
a year,
different
like,
look.
I know.
It's okay.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't happen.
Actually,
No, no,
I
I
see
see
it. It was just, you look good both ways. I was just like, oh, you know, you don't see people for a whole lot of years, like, oh, new haircuts.
Okay, good evening. Notice of time, date, location, and agenda of the meeting, to the extent known, was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. Notice of all meetings in 2026 was provided and were to required publication on December 10th, 2025. May I ask that we all rise to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I just make that note about?
Yes,
So just for everybody's knowledge, there was originally a public notice that there was going to be a joint executive session between the majority of the members of the township committee and this board. That was subsequently canceled due to a scheduling issue. So I don't know what exists out there in the public commentary, but there will not be an executive session this evening. We will just proceed with our meeting as well.
thank you, Mr. Grillo. The purpose of Millburn Special Improvement District is to promote, grow, and support local businesses, property owners, residents, and visitors, and to encourage the economic, cultural, and social vitality of the township through increased marketing and visibility, improved and renewed infrastructure, and local business development and engagement. The Millburn SID is one of approximately 100 in the state of New Jersey and is one of the 29 designated Main Street, New Jersey communities. Mr. Grillo, will you please take a roll call vote?
Jackie Benjamin Lieberberg,
Here.
Christine Best,
Here,
Omar Buckingham,
Present.
Ashley Schultz,
Present.
Ben Stoller, Alex Zoltzman, Richard Wasserman.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the March 2026 public session, attachment 1 in your packet, approval of these minutes?
Motion.
May I have a second? I'll second it. May I have a roll call, please?
Jackie Benjamin Lieberberg,
Yes.
Ashley Schultz,
Yes.
Richard Wasserman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, board chair reports. I do not have any reports this evening. Mr. Grillo, will you proceed with the financial report?
Sure. So this is the report as of March 31st. It's attachment 2 in your packets. At the end of March, we had $90,472,000 in the bank. As of today, we have $199,218. That's an increase of almost $109,000. Much of that is from the second deposit that we received from assessment payments. On April 7th, we had $125,468 put in the bank. We are now at 61% of the total assessment to be collected, which is very normal for this time of year. And then our next deposit will probably come in about 10 days. So other than that, no issues to report.
Okay.
And the
Would you like,
sponsor report.
yes, would you proceed with attachment number 3 in the packet, sponsorship report?
Yes, so as always, what's in your packet is out of date. That's a good thing. We've been getting more sponsors. Corinne and Michelle have been doing a great job. And so as of today, we've invoiced for a total of $30,160, which is actually nearly at our goal of $37,000 for the year. We've collected $14,160 out of the 30. Of that, the 9 sponsors that owe us that $16,000, 4 were only billed last week. So we brought them on, so I'm not concerned with that. And then if the majority of the rest have events that are far later in the year, so we haven't expected payment. So overall, I'm very, very happy with the rate that we've been bringing on sponsors, and I have no concerns about collecting.
Why, just a question, $160, what is that?
That was a in-kind, Erica Russo from M&T Bank hosted a lunch for a bunch of folks from the New Jersey Business Women's Outreach Center.
Yes,
when they came to tour the town. So we didn't pay the lunch bill, Erica did, but the lunch bill was $160.
okay,
So that's why it's an odd number.
okay, just wanted to clarify that, thank
Yes,
you.
I try not to bill people in $160 increments.
Okay, Mr. Stoller, says no report scheduled, when he arrives, if there is any reports, he can certainly take a moment to report on that. Mr. Buckingham?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. McDonald wanted me to share with the public that temporary parking arrangement on Millburn Avenue is still ongoing. That goes from Lackawanna to Holmes, on the Oscar Deli side, north curb only, and there's 14 spaces. This arrangement remains temporary. There are no permanent decisions yet. He is looking at additional ideas and options that also might be available. The goal remains the same, to slow down traffic in the area, make it safer for pedestrians, and to shorten the crosswalk at Whittingham. And then he said that the township is also welcomes the public submitting comments, thoughts, and they can be submitted via email to letusknow@millburntwp.org, and the township will look at those considerations. And that's all I have.
Okay,
Steve,
so it's been it's been a week, right? I'm trying to remember, it's
Just about.
Friday?
Friday morning.
Last Friday, right? Okay. Do we have any preliminary data, or we wanna keep it confidential until all the
He
votes are in?
didn't provide anything for me to share beyond that.
Okay. Thank you.
So I'm confused, so why are you guys doing feedback now, isn't it just being executed? I missed
So
that
this is
part.
temporary to see how the arrangement works.
Oh, it is temporary,
Yeah.
just so, cause you have all the parking spaces already in.
Correct. There's been no permanent changes made.
Okay,
It's
so
all
you're just, it's all like mapped out, you're not like,
Correct.
oh, okay, so it's just a,
Well, Christine, so there's been a physical change, so instead of parallel
no,
parking.
I saw
it's-
that,
Right, so that's the difference.
right,
Then they've painted where the traffic
bump
bulbs will
outs.
go,
yeah,
so there's no physical bump out, it's just paint.
right.
But the goal here is that we want people to give feedback about how this temporary example is working before any permanent work gets done.
Oh, well, that's great, I was gonna ask you, how are we getting the feedback besides, like, how are we communicating that? Are we,
No, we're just collecting through this
but how are we driving people to the website to know about it,
I
collect
think,
the data?
well, just now he mentioned it, and also on I believe the township committee mentioned it the other evening.
Yeah, but people don't go to township community
We
meetings.
can put it in the
The
whatever
Friday
they call it, the
letter.
Millburn message.
It's,
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
also, it's
what about on
gone,
Happy Millburn?
it's gone out on the Millburn alert or one of those as well.
Right, it's just a lot of people don't read it, there's a lot of people on Happy Millburn, can we get it on Happy Millburn, is that a possibility, Vicky?
I think some plenty of
Post it.
comments on it.
No, I'm asking, is that
Yeah,
allowed?
I mean, I
in
can
the
post
purview?
it, yeah, just, what is it, I was just writing it down, so I
Let
can do
us
that.
know.
Let us know.
At millburntwp.org.
Millburn. Yeah, I can put it
It's the same handle as all staff.
up. Okay.
Yeah, okay, cause
Okay, I
I
can put
didn't
it
know
on.
about it.
And we'll put it in our weekly newsletter that goes to all the businesses, and we'll give them that email as well.
Oh, that's great, thank you, I just wanted to make sure people were actually getting it.
The thinking is that everything should come to the one email address, so
Right,
there's
of
one
course.
place, you know, we don't want 30 different places.
No, you wanna be able to aggregate the data
Yeah,
successfully.
and we are able, so with the new setup, they are able to have more cars parked, right? We're getting a lot more
So
capacity.
there's an additional 4 parking spaces that are in it, so it went from 10 to 14.
So you get more, so the idea is you get more parking for the businesses and for the town. And also you do slow down traffic because people can't speed the way they.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right, all right, so
it
But
looks
I
great.
think the question is gonna be, in my conversations with Mr. McDonald, right now you pull into the space and then you back out. We could also change it so that it's the inverse, so that you pass the space back in and then drive out. So there's all these different physical options that we can try, because there's no anticipated actual capital work probably until August. So this is gonna give us a lot of time to aggregate data. I know the PD has a camera there as well, so we can actually watch how people are going in and out and
That's cool.
look at light timings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's only been less than a week, but I think, once we're 30, 60 days in, we'll have a lot of data to analyze.
So you're spending a lot of time on that, I mean, I'm really appreciating all the different things you do, that's why I'm just asking, it's a lot of work, so, and then who's designing the bump outs, cause is it just Martha doing, like, did they hire a designer for your team to do it, or?
No, so the engineering department is the one that's designing all aspects. But we've been working, so we work with the forester and public works because there's gonna be new trees that are added.
Yeah,
Those bump outs are gonna be very similar to the ones that are in the other parts of Complete Street, so they'll have those vegetative swale. there'll be native plants, things like that, so it's a team of different people that are involved, it's PD and traffic, the engineering department, our office. At this point, we've kind of taken a back seat because we've done all the conceptual work with them. And then they have to put out a bid package to actually get the
Right.
construction done.
The reason I was asking is that I was just wondering if we could add in like a landscape architect into this project for, I'm sure it would only cost 3 or 4 grand. Is that something, since is Explore running this, or is Alex?
No, this is a project that's being run by the township. So this is
Okay.
being funded through our Main Street grant.
Yeah, no, I know that's 100.
So that was the
yeah,
pilot money.
yeah.
The town is then putting in matching money,
Yeah,
which is not necessary under the contract, but they said, well, we've got 150 grand of free money, let's put more. So this is now really sitting with the township committee. They'll be the ones in charge of final design, and instructing members of the township staff on who does what, so.
yeah, I mean, I've been talking to the TC about that, then you're here, so I think that we need to start hiring professional designers to do stuff versus putting it on the engineering department. I'm just throwing that out because you're part of it as well, because it's a couple extra bucks to make it be done right, you know, like not somebody doing garden design on their own. So, just my 2 cents. Okay.
Ben, since you're here, would you like to vote on the minutes from last meeting?
Yes. I'm waiting for a phone proof.
I don't want them to say you didn't get a chance to vote.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Stoller has joined the meeting.
Approximately 6:35.
Okay, Mr. Slattery, Bear Properties 3 lawsuit update.
Sure, good evening, everyone. So just today, I filed a motion to dismiss the claims. The township filed its motion to dismiss about half an hour before I did. The motions are pretty similar. They effectively say that these are the same issues that were adjudicated in Bear Properties 2 and in Bear Properties 1. And then they repeat effectively the arguments that were in those 2 cases that had the cases dismissed the first time around. So the return date on those motions is May 22nd, as we've all learned. That doesn't always mean that we'll be in front of a judge on that date, but for now, that's the whole date where we may get oral argument and potentially a decision. Following that, I don't make a lot of promises. As an attorney, I'm not big on guarantees in the law, but I'm extremely confident that both of those motions will be successful and that both of them will be followed by sanctions motions. At risk of getting into litigation strategy, I fully expect to file a motion under the Frivolous Litigation Act, Rule 14-8, which is an attorney ethics rule effectively about pleadings that actually have a chance to go somewhere. And I expect to also make a motion to prevent future lawsuits of this kind without the approval of the court first, in order to try to prevent us from incurring fees on the front end rather than the back end. I expect that we'll be doing so and asking the court to look at the long history of Mr. Feld's filings, not just Bear Properties filings. That means I'll be going all the way back to at least 2011, when the appellate division first started issuing opinions toward him about cases in other towns. The appellate division in 2011 called his complaint disjointed and vastly overstated. Stated that
these are complaints from that these are actual on the record?
Yeah, from Newark, from Orange, from other towns.
Can you read that again?
Yeah, sure. I'll go through a few of them.
Okay.
In 2011, the appellate division reprimanded him for filing disjointed and vastly overstated pleadings. That's a quote. That quote resembled detailed notes of an attorney regarding the grievances of his client or himself. They went on. He jumps from one factual allegation to another without seeming connection or transition, with minimal citation to the record in violation of the court rules. His arguments, quote, are sprinkled with references to published and unpublished decisions from which Feld draws unwarranted conclusions of law. Feld's arguments cloud more than illuminate the issues, end quote. So that's 15 years ago. Later on, another judge said that his arguments were, quote, hard to decipher, that he, quote, bypasses available legal tools, and, quote, fails to even make a minimal attempt to distinguish the present case from his past dismissal, which is exactly what he's doing here yet again. In 2016, one court, when there were motion for sanctions was filed against Mr. Feld, the court wrote that he has 15 lawsuits against the city of Orange Township, and that the only reason they weren't going to sanction him is that because he could have believed that the RICO causes of action in that case were arguably meritorious because RICO is such an unclear set of standards. In other words, they gave him the benefit of the doubt that RICO is hard, so they didn't sanction him. He also sued the Attorney General a few years ago, and in that case, the Attorney General's office filed their motion to dismiss and said, quote, plaintiffs merely named the Attorney General as a party to this action and failed to set forth any factual allegations to support a claim for a failure to supervise, which is exactly what he did in both Bear Properties 2 and Bear Properties 3. They went on to say plaintiffs make conclusory allegations that the state defendants in that case conspired and colluded with each other to interfere with the plaintiff's rights, which is exactly what count 4 in Bear Properties 2 and Bear Properties 3 alleged. It's the same tired old playbook that he's been going to for 15 plus years to harass and vex his political and personal enemies. I'm gonna do what I can to try to put an end to it. So what I will be asking for from the court is to require him, if he wants to sue on anything having to do with our budget and all the resolutions and ordinances that go with our daily operations, he has to go to the court first and get permission so that we don't have to be the ones to bear the first burden. And hopefully that'll go well, but that's a month or two down the line.
So I've been in business for 27, almost 30 years now. I've never seen that actually happen. And you're saying that's all predicated on prior behavior?
Yeah, so there's a couple of cases that talk about it. It is pretty uncommon. So I it's sort of an extraordinary remedy to ask the court to intervene in someone's 14th Amendment and so forth rights to petition and to have access to the courts. But where there's a pattern and practice of frivolous lawsuits that are clearly without merit and clearly designed just to frustrate, courts can do it. And there are several cases that support that idea. I think Rosenblum is the name of the case that's the primary one. So that's the relief we're gonna seek, because it's enough is enough.
So it is predicated on past behavior, there's a record of it, there's a written record of it, it's available to the judge, to the public, et cetera, and that's what you're gonna base it on.
I'm gonna base that motion when we get there on the pattern and practice of Mr. Feld, both in Millburn and elsewhere, and these particular plaintiffs who have combined to decide to annually harass the town and explore.
Right, and I've never been in the legal profession. Is that considered a censure by the board? I mean, is that the same thing as being censured by the New Jersey Bar Association?
No, that would be a different issue altogether to bring it to the Bar Association. I'm not sure that I wouldn't want to comment on whether or not that's appropriate at this point because I haven't looked at it. This is asking the assignment judge in the county to make them go to that person first, that judge first, to review it, to make sure that it's not frivolous before it can be filed.
Is it possible that the judge would read your motion and issue an answer without a hearing, or not necessarily?
Likely not. There's absolutely an opportunity for a written opposition to any of these motions. Whether or not there's oral argument will depend on the circumstances.
And we anticipate on or around May 22nd as the
Currently, the return date for our motion to dismiss and the townships is May 22nd. That would be just on those two motions to dismiss, provided there's no extensions granted or no adjournments of that date for the argument.
I had one other question. I know that we still owe you money. I heard tonight that were you ever
Steve and I talked about it this week. There are still a few outstanding bills from the first go round. I leave it to you guys to resolve how that's gonna work out. But
I think we did go to get your approval.
Well, the $3,800, was that paid?
right around there, something
That
like
was
that.
paid,
Yeah, that
there's
was
a
paid.
balance
That
now.
was paid.
You're conflating two different bills.
Oh.
Yeah, there were two bills. So for Bear Properties 2, some of the bills were submitted to the TC and they agreed to reimburse.
And you get paid for the 30.
I basically got paid for the first half of the case, and then there were some outstanding bills afterward that Steve's aware of.
Yeah, there's a current outstanding balance for Bear Properties 2 of $7,441.67.
Is it that much? I didn't think so.
Yes,
How overdue is it?
I spent far more time yesterday going through invoices than I wanted to.
Oh,
But
but
yeah,
the
that's,
original
No,
bill,
we're not-
Steve,
yes.
was the 3,800 that I.
No, it wasn't 7,400.
How overdue is it? Like 90 days out?
It's from like the summer.
no, wait, I think I read you the wrong number.
Yeah, that's definitely a wrong number.
Yeah.
I think I've got
Steve,
a.
I think that might have been the total,
That's
roughly
the
what
total,
you
Yeah.
said.
so the
And it's not half
balance,
of that.
the balance is 3,600.
I think it's even lower, I think it's around 3,100 if I remember right.
What's your monthly penalty? I'm joking.
For you,
So-
0, for you guys, nothing.
Okay, so why did that take so long to get paid?
I'm sorry, it's 3,966 and.
I'm sorry.
No, minus-
You wanna get paid tonight?
Who's asking?
Yeah, because
Tom's just dying quickly.
I'm trying to work out a quick deal. We'll give you half tonight.
The number's about, it's just shy of $3,000.
Mhm.
About 29,667.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
And how overdue is this?
The first invoice was June 4th of last year, then July 8th, August 11th, December 3rd. And then there's a bill from April 22nd of this year for additional work. So this goes back 10 months.
All right, let me just ask a common sense question. When we went in for $3,800, why wouldn't we just do the aggregate number instead of, 500 we do?
Because the case was still ongoing.
Yeah,
There was more work to do.
the TC paid the first installment. But for some reason administratively, it has not gotten on your bills list yet.
Okay, you understand my question, right?
Of course.
Would have been easier just to,
Sure.
here's the thing, and let's do it
So
versus
you
doing it
want,
now.
I think you're more.
Oh, an exchange.
So do we,
All right, thank you for that update, appreciate it.
So we're investigating.
we're investigating, I mean, you guys can authorize us to pay the bill, or you can.
Excuse me, is this the meeting that's open to the public?
Yes.
Are you looking
For
for the
which-
budget meeting or
budget or-
the Explore Millburn-Short?
Explore Millburn.
Yes,
Yeah.
Is that okay if I come
Please.
in?
Come on in,
Absolutely.
come on in and join us.
Thank you.
there's a public session, public comments, at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
So Steve, just for the record, how much now is currently owed to Tom?
About $3,000.
About $3,000. And do we, so if we said, and the way we've been doing this is we've been submitting this bill to Alex, the administrator. And has that 3,100 been submitted to Alex?
Yes, it has,
How long ago was it submitted?
August.
August of last
It hasn't made it to the bill list yet.
year. And is there any feedback why it has not been?
I don't know why.
And, just forgive me, I just wanna try to get my hands around it, yeah, I'm sorry. Do we know, and this is all from Bear 3?
Two.
This is all from Bear 2 property. So would that 3,100 include your amount? Would that include your bills for Bear 2?
Effectively, yes. So as you know, Mr. Feld has a tendency to clutter the docket with letters, motions for reconsideration, attempts at appeals, all sorts of things that don't usually go anywhere. I have been refraining from billing on Bear 2 when he does those things because it's a very small amount of my time, but I just need to monitor it. So I've been billing those as though it's an in-house counsel sort of thing to try to keep costs down. So I would say effectively, yes, barring something surprising, that would conclude Bear 2 for me. Obviously, we're gonna have some additional costs incurred for Bear 3 now.
For Bear 3, but not Bear 2.
Right.
So Bear 2, you're basically owed 3,100.
Yep.
We submitted the bill in August and we don't know whether.
Yeah, and then there was additional charges because that bill was submitted in August. Then we got an invoice in December and an invoice in April. So even that bill in August is out of date. For Bear Properties too, there was additional work.
But is that 30, I'm trying to ask how much for
What's
Bear?
the total amount owed
For Bear
to
2.
him for Bear 2?
Owed to him at this
You said it's
point,
29.
it's about 2,900 and change, yeah.
And that includes August, December,
That's life to date, I would imagine.
Yeah, other than the work I just did this month on the new case, that's.
Which is Barrett 3, so just
Right.
Barrett 2, life to date should be another 2,900.
Chair, can we have 1 minute?
Sure.
You can make a motion to go into executive. if you
No, I
like.
don't wanna, I just need one moment, I have 2 minutes.
Like to introduce yourself, you're a new face.
I don't know any of you. I'm not politically involved. I'm just a resident of Millburn and I love Millburn, but there's a couple of observations that I thought I'd like to share. And I spoke with the mayor and he suggested that I.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. So there's a public comment at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You interested?
No,
Down here.
no,
That's fine.
I worked there for a couple of years, but now I live in South Orange and I work in Branford.
And it's right when the whistle.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go to Wesleyan too? Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
it
Oh, your husband.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, next on the agenda, promotion and thank you, Mr. Slattery, for your daily report.
Mhm.
Our next meeting is May 28th, so I'm hopeful that we'll have some clarity with respect to your most recent updates prior to that meeting.
Yep.
There she is. Promotion
Hi,
and time
everyone.
report. Ms.
Hello,
Mahoney.
can everyone hear and see me?
Yep,
Hi,
thank you.
Corinne.
Fabulous. All right, so I'm Corinne. I'm the marketing and events director, and just a quick update. So we have our Girls Night Out event. It's coming up in June 4th. So we're getting ready to plan for that. We've been doing lots of work. We have over 45 businesses committed so far to participate. So either that's doing swag bags or tabling the event or offering discounts. So that's super exciting. And this year we're really trying to focus more on bringing attendees into the business themselves. In the past, we've had a lot of fun activities going on, but we really want people to come and spend their money in Millburn and come back and spend money. So the goal is to really get them into the businesses. So really trying to centralize the event onto Millburn Ave, kind of where the intersection between, let's see, Town Hall Plaza, and then all the way down to the intersection with Lackawanna. So we're really trying to just push more foot traffic to this area. And then anyone who's not in that area, we've invited to come and set up a table kind of between the businesses. So we're trying to really fill the sidewalks and get more people coming, shopping downtown and kind of meeting the business owners and experiencing everything. So we have lots of work to do, but we've been doing some great work so far for that. And then let's see, World Cup. So we just applied for New Jersey's smaller statewide initiative grant. This is a grant, and it's a $50,000 grant that we just applied for last week. But the state only introduced it with a 1-week lead time. So they didn't say anything about grants coming out, and then they're like, okay, here's a grant, here's 1 week to do it. So we got it in, but there's really not that many details. So we're not quite sure exactly when it's due or when we'll find out information about it or when, or any of the specifications. So we're still waiting on that, but that would be amazing for that. And then open consumption. So we just submitted our ordinance for the summer. So we'll have open consumption for the final viewing party on July 19th for our World Cup. And then also for the courtyard. So that's our summer music series. Used to be at Town Hall Plaza. Now it's going to be at the courtyard. So we just submitted that to the township committee and they discussed it at their meeting, I believe on Tuesday or earlier this week. And then they are going to submit it for approval at their next meeting. So we're just waiting on the specifications for that. And then, Christine, do you want to talk about the holiday decor ad hoc committee?
Yeah, sure. So we had just since the last meeting that was in person in town and Michelle was present. And Vicky, feel free to add in if I forgot some stuff. We just had a quick, a call for an hour on Zoom, and basically We decided to set up a light pole to, just, do sort of like a styling event, with some different types of bows. I believe Vicky, had found a bunch of different bow options. Michelle had some garland options, and Allison, I think, was looking for the large, scale lights that we have currently, going across Main Street. So, and then they were going to mount, I think you're gonna get, I'm not sure who is doing what, but, they're gonna get some of the smaller snowflakes to be brought in to sort of mount and see how the pole, if it's like over designed with too many things. I know we're not allowed to use the complete speed strolls on the special poles in the main downtown area, okay? So that's gonna be done soon, but we don't have a date, and I didn't see any follow-up emails on that yet. And then in addition to that, we decided to table some of the additional decorations that we thought about in a bigger way, like doing like a huge light ball, in the middle of Main and, in the middle of, I can't see your face, Corinne, in the middle of Main and, Millburn Avenue. So that was tabled. We're just really focused on getting those old snowflake lights back up. And I think, I can't remember if we have 69 snowflake lights or something close to that in total, varying sizes, between 3.5 to 4 to 4.5 feet. And there's 3 different styles, but they all work together visually. And basically, what I had asked was for, to canvas the entire areas of all of Millburn Avenue, all the way up to Annie Says, wrapping around on Essex Street, and then on Main Street, going from basically, where the junior high school is down to Rector Street, I believe. So, outside of the complete street areas, and then also going down Essex Street all the way down to where the Hearth is, and then up to Millburn Avenue, and then also there was a request to do snowflake lights on Chatham Road as well. And so we're still waiting on a complete count. I don't think that was established of how many lights we would need, less the ones that we have in stock essentially that are usable. And then, we'd have to estimate how many lights we would need to do everything else, what the total cost would be. And right now, I don't have, those numbers haven't been provided. I think John is working on that with Alex. And then also John and Alex were gonna work on going to the TVL or finding who the TVL contact was to find out where they got those lights from, because the TVL actually purchased those snowflake lights a while back. So we're waiting on the name of that person. And that's all I have right now. Vicky, is there anything I missed?
I think you.
I got the gist of it,
And I
okay.
think we're gonna phase it in, we're not gonna do everything
Yeah,
at once,
we're-
because it's
yeah,
expensive.
We're probably gonna need like 60 more lights, so I
Yeah.
think but it's just about deciding like where we're gonna light up.
And we have to wait for
portion it out.
JCP now to give permission, and
Yes, the
and John
JCP
was
now.
also looking for the boxes to put the plugs in,
Yeah.
because they're new now.
Are you gonna be looking for outside grant money or any kind of?
Well,
or
I
township?
suggested that maybe Upper Millburn Avenue, let's go to, what's the name of that one? Hard.
Oh, the
Metropolitan, see
yeah.
if the Metropolitan might wanna sponsor something, like they're very good at trying to be part of the community. So, and maybe see if the Hearth wants to maybe sponsor a little bit in the
Right.
downtown. So that is what, once
Is
we
in the
figure
works.
out what we're doing, that was one of the, yeah, I mean, if
I would
there's a
hit
grant,
up, I would hit up the mall too. I don't know.
Yeah, I think hitting up the mall's a great idea, and I mean, I think that
You
one
see
would
the
probably
earnings, it's crazy.
come to Steve and Corinne and.
well, yeah, I mean, I think we now have a nice relationship with the mall and the Hilton, so maybe that's something that we can look into, maybe talking to them about.
100%.
When you do your work, I mean, are you considering like making it like a multi-year plan? Like, I always
Yes,
have-
yes,
It's gonna be
It's
multi-year.
too expensive to.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
phases,
maybe you
yes.
could, maybe you could come up, as you put it together, maybe come up with like a budget,
Yes,
Right.
and then we can try to get sponsors. and
Yes,
work and,
yes.
yeah,
Just kind of build it.
Yes,
that's
what-
exactly, you're 100% right.
Yeah, but we have to
Definitely.
show them a little bit of what we have done.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
once we do that, and then we say, oh, look, downtown Millburn
But
has,
the key to success is a good laid out analysis
Yes.
of what you
Yeah,
wanna
the
do.
total
Yes.
cost.
Forecast, plan, actually have
Yeah.
a thought out process. Cause then it gives me ammunition with
To go to the
Steve to go into the mall, go into the township,
Yeah.
go into the
Yeah.
metropolitan. Just saying, I hope this, I wrap it right here, whatever, it's
Yeah,
not gonna
I
work.
agree. Yeah, we're gonna light up, like, we're
Yeah.
gonna light up Chatham Road in year 3. You
And a
brought this
number
up
of
last
reasons
time.
why it helps.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, cause And
That's-
another reason, it's
That's
word of
why we
mouth.
really need the numbers from Don and Alex on the total count less the existing inventory and then getting an estimated cost of what
When do you
the.
expect to get that?
I mean, they said they were following up on it, it was about a week, maybe 8 or 9 days ago, so I'm gonna, if you talk to him, just remind him, I mean.
No, I'll send an
Well,
email to
yeah.
Jamie.
I'm not reminding you.
No,
No, I don't wanna, I just talked about it.
No, we'll send an email. There's nothing
So-
wrong with sending an email.
Yeah, we can remind her.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether also there might be some, in terms of like sponsorship, I wonder if there could be some signage opportunity. Imagine that the hearth, they put up their lights and, there's signage there, that, the lights are sponsored by the hearth.
Or welcome home to the
Our
heart.
new community, our new, part of our new community.
Yeah, we have some, and there's new businesses going there now, I
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah,
That's a
like
good
a
idea.
poster next to it.
Oh, absolutely, a little plaque, or sponsored by the heart. That's what
And
you're
we
doing,
can,
yeah.
and we can promote it.
Absolutely.
I mean, promote it.
Absolutely.
I mean, who wouldn't want to give some money towards their own signage?
That's good publicity for them.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Anyway,
Uh,
great.
Well, thank you,
Thank you,
Christine.
Corinne. Thank you,
Thank you, Corinne,
Christine.
Christine.
Great job. All right,
Moving
we're
along.
moving along.
All right, our economic vitality report,
Yes.
Mr.
I'm
Grillo.
gonna quote Mr. Alex McDonald, it's a very short report this evening. So we always look at new businesses, closed businesses. We've had one new business open since our last meeting. That was Elaine Chong Designs. It's a second floor jewelry art design business at Short Hill Station. We also have 10 businesses that are currently under construction.
CHUNG,
CHONG.
ONG.
Hey, wait, is that Millburn Station in the?
No, Short Hill Station.
Oh, it's in, by the boxcar or?
No, do you know where Brooklyn Pizza is?
Yeah, oh, it's
So
on the other
above.
side, oh, okay.
There's a bunch of
Yeah.
office suites.
It's in
Yeah, no, I know.
it's
I
in the
just-
village.
It's in the village, I just, when you said Short Hill Station, I thought you meant like in the station, so, okay.
So we have 10 businesses that are currently under construction. Short Hills Pilates on Morris Turnpike is opening its expanded space. If you remember, there was a brow studio next to them. Brow studio went out of business and the Pilates studio is now taking that as a stretch
That's
studio.
great.
So they are doing an event May 7th at 6 p.m. We're all invited, and we're working with our friends at the Chamber of Commerce on that event and ribbon cutting. That's gonna be 6 p.m., I think I said, on May 7th.
And that's Short Hills Pilates on Morris Turnpike.
Correct. I also onboarded Aroma's Home yesterday, which is at the former Design Hub space at the intersection of Millburn and Main. They're doing some great work on the facade of the building. They're working through their signage permits. They're planning to open in mid-June. They're gonna participate in Girls' Night Out. They're also gonna participate in our World Cup. They're both South American gentlemen who are very excited about that event. But it looks like it's gonna be a great space. This is their third space. They have one in Mercer County, one I think in Camden County, and then this is gonna be their North Jersey location.
Wow.
And I've already started connecting them actually to some of our larger multi-unit developers, because they do flooring, carpets, et cetera. So I think they're gonna be a terrific business, but residents should look for that to be opening in mid-June. We did lose one business, our friends at Garden State Hemp. They left. But it's for good news, they graduated. For many of you, probably knew they always wanted to get into the cannabis business.
Mhm.
They could not do that here in Millburn, we have a prohibition against
Oh.
cannabis businesses. It took them a number of years, but they got their permits and approvals from the state, and so they're now operating a business in another town doing that.
Which town?
They're in Parsippany. Yeah, so but there's a whole permit process and licenses and everything, it took them years, but so congratulations to those guys.
That's awesome.
They were wonderful contributors and partners of
Nice
ours.
people. Yeah, nice.
We also have some sad news, Taste Buddy will be going out of business on April 30th.
Oh.
Former board member Alexa Clark, always great supporters of ours. So unfortunately, they're gonna be closing at the end of this month, so anybody out there in TV land that wants to go and say goodbye and get some gluten-free food before the end, so,
For gluten-free olives, really good.
yeah, it's a wonderful
Is
place.
anybody going in there yet?
Not that I know of.
Cause that building just sold.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, yeah, cause I met the new owner of it too.
Oh,
That's- Yeah, nice guy, but that's a prime location.
Great location, yeah, so,
Are they're closing the business or not
they're closing the
moving?
business, yeah.
Yeah, didn't-
They have a good run.
They have a 5-year run.
Perfect place for a nail salon.
Please no.
And then, I would expect to hear more of this news. We have a bunch of businesses that have reached out to me. Owners are retiring or moving. So I've actually been helping them with succession planning. It's a good thing for us to get involved with. And then obviously they have attorneys and tax professionals, but from a business perspective, I've done a bunch of sit downs lately with businesses who are planning their retirement. So I think over the next 6 to 12 months, we're gonna see some people moving on to brighter pastures and retiring.
And are they gonna, do you think they'll close the businesses or?
I think so, yeah.
Or you think they're looking to sell or get a new one?
Well, it's not necessarily selling the businesses. A lot of it is also, it's really selling their client lists.
Right.
What type of business? Or what would try to cut off line?
Yeah, but your client list, equipment that's in the store is always important. So a lot of that is working with our office to try to connect them with people that might wanna purchase those things. But we'll see. So, but I always say, when you look at vacancy rates, you always have to look at the story behind it, right? Did somebody's mom die and that's why they closed the
Did
business?
you get the latest vacancy rate, Caroline?
We're gonna do it shortly. Yeah, it's still low, don't worry. So we're gonna get to that in a second. Streetscaping, just for everybody that may ask, the weather is finally turning a little bit, we hope. The tree pit mulching was done today. We are responsible for 70 tree pits around the town. So that was done. Power washing is scheduled for May 18th. We're gonna do the courtyard to prep it for the summer music series. While we have the crew out here, we're gonna do the 4 corners at Millburn and Maine and the 4 corners at Millburn and Essex, which were part of the complete streets. Those are the very decorative stone. They haven't been done probably in 10 years.
You're talking about the mulch team in those, in
No,
those
the
areas?
power wash.
Oh, the
Power
power
wash.
wash, okay,
And
no, I'm
then we're
sorry,
also-
just when you saw the other kind, so,
We're gonna power wash the bridge by the Millburn Deli.
oh, that's nice.
That's in pretty bad shape, so we're gonna do that as well. Our plantings, we are responsible for about 50 to 60 planters. Mid-May, we'll likely be doing that, we're just waiting on a date with the vendor. And then we are starting our street cleaning and weeding program like we did last year. That is gonna be May 10th will be the start date for that. Downtown will be twice a week and Upper Millburn Avenue, Short will be once a week. That's litter removal and weeding. We're also gonna refresh the stones that are out on Morris Turnpike in the Verge. And just after the winter, they need to be replaced and that. So we have 4 different streetscaping things that we're responsible for, and they're all in progress.
Steve, on the power wash, you're gonna do the bridge by Millburn Deli.
Mhm.
If they have time, if they shift over to Essex Street, they could do the other side of the bridge, which is always building.
Oh, that's a good point.
I'm just
We'll see.
throwing it out there, a little extra value.
See if I get a freebie out of it.
Get a freebie, just do the other side of the bridge.
Chair, can I ask a couple questions? Do you
Sure.
have more stuff? Okay, great. So I wanted to ask you a question, because, I was trying to just understand strategically how you guys got all this DPW stuff like placed on you in terms of like very basic stuff that just should be done, like keeping the streets clean and sweeping and weeding and putting mulch in the tree pits. How does that because what percent of the budget, I didn't look, so I'm sorry, cause I can't remember, how much of that budget for us does that eat up, that it
It's a
doesn't
big
fall?
chunk.
So, cause I feel like, we have such a small, group of people on your team, and there's so much marketing, spend that could be spent instead of like cleaning, having you manage like being the janitorial stuff of the town. And so my personal opinion is I would love to see that time spent more on marketing stuff and go back to township.
It's
But,
probably $60,000 in total.
from
30,000 from
budget.
our budget, 60, and the other 30
Yeah.
from the town that they
Yeah.
get from a grant from the state, but. Then there's the contract and vendor management, I have to handle
I
all
know, that's what I'm
the
saying,
payments
it's
and.
it's very distracting for
Yeah.
somebody like with your strategic skill set and Corinne's working on all the marketing stuff and the events. It's like completely distracting, it's like you're basically CEO of everything and the minions of everything, doing everything, so I'm just saying that, as a compliment, so I feel strongly about that, I'm just throwing it out as a concept. And I did wanna ask you, on the stone refresh over, this is just something that always bothers me, is that those stones, like all winter long, were just like blown out of there, they're a tough solution, and they were like all over the road in front of Bagels for You. I go to Bagels for You a lot, because I'm on a gluten binge these days, but, I'm just trying to figure out, like, if we can come up with a better solution for that, and, whose responsibility is that medium strip of now no longer grass. It looks like they took a torch and burnt down the grass. I'm just not gonna be nice about it, because, you know, it does look, it's one of the biggest eyesores in town. And so how can, it's like, does the county own that?
It's a
Or do
state
we
highway.
own- But so the business owner doesn't own the frontage up to the highway? Like
No.
in terms of keeping it cleaned up?
No.
So,
That's kind of one of these weird things where a bid
Mhm.
has to kind of get involved because the business owners, it's not their responsibility,
mhm.
right? Their property line ends. The state who owns the roadway doesn't maintain the area that we call the verge, right?
Yeah, it's terrible.
The curb
Yeah.
to the sidewalk, and the municipality has never maintained it. So you've got that problem where stones were the best solution, but not a great solution.
Yeah.
But then also, I mean, listen, I think in a perfect world, it'd be great to rip up all that grass that doesn't grow and put concrete down. But we don't have a budget to do that, and the state's not gonna do it, they don't care, and the municipality doesn't have the budget to do it. So we're kind of in a rock and a
So
hard
the other
place.
stores though do, I mean, a lot of the other businesses keep up their curbs, like this business owner chooses not to, right? Basically the owner of the building.
Well, it's not just one specific place on Morris Turnpike, it's
But a lot of
most
them do
Morris
keep
Turnpike.
up, I mean, but the King's parking lot is better kept up and, you know, a lot of the office buildings are better kept, because it's really, it's a pretty hideous eyesore, I mean, and I'm not trying to, you know, and now I understand why that was done by Explore, because you're just trying to like piecemeal something that's kind of a total mess.
We tried
So,
so many things over the years and
I mean, I just put
It's a tough
grass in
environment.
and call it a day, because I think the stones are really dangerous personally, but I'm just
And
trying to
who's
figure.
gonna, then you've gotta water the grass and you've gotta take out the
They
dead grass
can't-
and mow the
people
grass.
can't water the grass, they don't care what their business looks like to.
I'm just saying,
Wow.
Christie, we,
I know.
this is 5 years in, no, just so you know, we've looked at this for.
Maybe we could put turf in there.
yeah, you
Yeah,
might have
it's
some
a
left
turf.
over.
And I'll get it blessed by an environmental commission. Okay,
So-
no, I'm just really passionate, I'm just trying to figure out like, can we like bond with, you know, Springfield and Summit and try to take ownership, because when we come into our town, it's just like, you see that, you know, mess, it's like, and the median strips and.
Well, the
I don't know.
median is way out of our purview, right? That's the state, and that's probably more of an eyesore.
Oh, it's-
yeah.
Thank God you don't come to the east side of town.
Yeah, no, I'm
To the
sorry, I know it's
Vauxhall.
not your fault, I'm just
To
trying to
the-
figure out, like, I know that you're beating a dead horse, is what you're saying,
Hey, listen, if this town
I got
can
it.
get the state DOT to say, we'd like to beautify those medians, that'd be a wonderful thing. But it's one of those things, it's their responsibility, they just don't do anything about it.
I understand, thank you for explaining that, Steve.
There's many jurisdictions when it comes to roads and sidewalks, that's part of what we do.
Okay.
Can you please, Mr. Buckingham, pull up that PDF I sent you?
Yes.
So we're gonna go through our Q1 2026 key performance indicators. I'm going to be very brief. There is some social media content in here that I know Christine wants to talk about, but we'll talk about it at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
So that we're gonna have a separate discussion. Corinne and I worked on some data that we pulled down today. So as soon as
Can I talk to you for a minute?
you have a technical problem?
Yeah.
Oh. In the line.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't access it.
I'm all in the email.
Then I'll just make a recording. Man, I worked on some really nice graphs.
Can she bring it up on?
You can put them in the minutes.
I know, but that's not the point.
I know.
Well, you know what, actually, I have handouts.
Just. We're able to share it on the,
No, but I have physical handouts, so at least the board can see. So Omar's got a little bit of technical problem, so I don't think Ashley and public can see. But it's for you, you. It's for you. Don't sweat it, you're okay. So as most of you know, we present key performance indicators on a quarterly basis, so this is for Q1 2026. This is actually the first time that we have really robust year-to-year comps, because we have 24, 25, and now Q1 26.
Well,
Thank you, Ben, for doing all the work that you've done on this presentation, I appreciate it. Since January 2024, we've had an average of 516 businesses total in the bid. That includes multi-tenant offices, second floor, et cetera. All of those are entitled to benefits of the bid. And so since January 2025, we've actually been above that number, which I think is great for business stability. If you go to the next slide, our overall commercial vacancy rate across the 5 districts, it has averaged 4.5% in January 24. As you can see here, we've had an increase to about 6% in mid-25. And then the rate's been trending down and below that average ever since. I ran that number today, we're actually 3.27%. Generally, industry standard is considered about 5%. So our average is below industry standard, and we've been on a downtrend ever since August of 25.
just for the record, since you said that, doesn't this tell the picture so much better from when I started 3 years ago to show the success and the absolute
Yes.
numbers?
It also helps me a lot, but there's gonna be something I'm gonna talk about in a few minutes.
Charts are.
You know, when I can put this in a chart and I can start looking at correlation, there's some interesting things that come out. So, it's been great, you know, and Ben always says, if you don't know where you started, you don't know how you got there.
Can't measures, can't fix, and Steve, just to throw another number, like when you started your tenure, what did we start?
16%.
16%.
16%. So
we've come a long way.
we've come a long way. If we're bouncing between 2.5 and 3, I think we're pretty good.
Congratulations.
That could have been due to COVID. and so on.
I think a lot of it was actually pre-COVID. Yeah.
And if you had those numbers, you could put them right in here.
Yeah, that old bid didn't tell you.
We should make
Track
it
those numbers.
longer,
Oh,
right?
this
Do we-
was before
They
COVID,
never
before
kept
all
them.
that.
Do we keep, we don't keep turn rates though, right, on business turn?
We don't, it's kind of anecdotal. I mean, I actually do track every business that closes. And then I put the reason why they closed and if they've been replaced. So I don't have that in here, but I have that in my internal notes. If you go to the slide beneath that, that's our business assistance requests. We average 21 business assistance requests per month. So that could be marketing, parking, general onboarding, NJEDA programs, kind of, if it has anything to do with business, and we service the business owner, that goes into that file. So we have 21 on average each month. And we're pretty much there, except for this spike that we saw in early 2025, which was then followed by an increase in vacancies up to 6%, like I said. So I can't tell you now, because it's an isolated incident, but maybe a few years down the line, we can say, well, when there's an increase in business assistance requests, like there is in this orange chart, and then it's followed by a spike in vacancies, do those two things correlate?
Yeah.
So then if you go to the next slide, this is our monthly parking meter revenue. You'll notice it dips in December because we don't charge for parking. So it's a weird chart. But I did pull out the two averages. You actually see that the average collection monthly is 36,400 if you include December. And then when you take out December, then it doesn't apply to the average. The monthly collection is $38,000. So as you can see, the payment trends are actually very seasonal. We have higher payments in the summer and the fall versus Q1. But if you go to, let's see here, then looking at Q1 in 24, 25, 26, our business assistance requests on the next slide are actually down this year, but they're actually on par with 2024. So I think something happened in mid-2025 where there was either, there must have been some economic challenge, there's all the indicators say something went wrong for a 3 to 4 month period, and then it stabilized again.
Well, the market flipped over. The Dow Jones it's when everybody's screaming the market's going to hell in a wastebasket, and
Yeah, there was a short.
you did your business continuity, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I told you that we should make it much more broad-based.
Yeah.
Because I think I said rates are going down, the market's gonna bounce back strong. What happened?
It bounced back.
Very strong, all-time highs today.
So then we went to, let's see, parking meter revenue. If you look, now we're just looking at quarter over quarter. So,
Which slide?
I'm sorry, we're moving quick.
And he's on the next.
Go to Q1 comparison, business assistance requests. So it was, if you look at, this is just Q1 for 24, 25, 26. There was 103 last year in Q1, which is almost double what we normally have. But there was 59 in 24 and 54 this year. So we're back to where we normally are. If you go to the next slide, that looks at the parking meter revenue for the quarter. It's actually fairly stable. We're looking at just about $100,000 per quarter, which looks at the average, which is about 38,000 or so.
Do you track the people that have the annual shoppers pass?
No, this is only how much money's put in the meters
Okay.
or on the app for the 3 districts where you pay, Upper Millburn-Short Hill Station and downtown.
Does this include parking tires?
So I have a lot of trouble
No
tracking
doubt.
down the
They
parking
don't
tires
pay.
because, they don't pay.
And Steve, this money goes into
The town's general fund.
Yeah.
is it the general fund?
Yeah, we don't see any
We
of
don't
that.
get any of this money?
Once when I explained to Alex McDonald how a lot of bids actually get a portion of parking revenue across the country, he said, don't try to
Yeah, we
pick my
never-
pocket.
we never-
If I ever hear you say this again, I'll kill you.
No, I mean, it seems to me that it would be appropriate that bid would get at least a 25%. I mean, it's some percentage, I mean, you're doing all the work to track it as well, just
You should
start.
bring that up to the township community.
Yeah, I mean, because.
It's actually a pretty standard practice on the West Coast.
Okay, well, just smile last time.
I know San Diego uses it as a
Yeah.
model where the theory is, right, if the business improvement district is paying for capital improvements that are enjoyed by the shoppers, if those shoppers are parking and
Yeah.
paying, they're using the resource that we've spent money on. Why not take a portion of that revenue and put it towards the
Yeah.
bid?
And
Right,
I'm
it does make
not
sense.
saying, I'm being all serious,
Yeah.
that anything we can do, the numbers speak for themselves. The numbers are
Yeah.
telling us what's going, so any more money we can bring in here for positive momentum, I
I
think
mean,
we
it's-
should.
you're talking over $400,000 a year in parking revenue.
Yeah, I mean, just get another.
We got a piece of,
200K on
I
top
got
of
a
it.
piece of the paper mill parking revenue too, to fund that bond, it's self-funding, so,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, I remember you did that.
And this is also a good way to track use, right? Because these
Right.
people are coming into these districts and paying to park. So we can see that over the first 3 quarters, right, in 24, 25, 26, it's actually very consistent. So we haven't seen any dips or growths.
Speaking of parking, how is the pilot program for the 1 hour free in the deck?
I don't have a report yet, but I can find one.
So I think it's too early, I think it's too early.
It's still relatively underused.
But I think it's very early. Apparently that parking deck turns into a skating park at night.
Oh, fun.
And it's
You
not-
gotta stop, you get hurt.
What?
You get hurt.
Stop.
You doing donuts again, Mark?
We looked at our Instagram content as well, so our Instagram posts, we've been growing quite still, actually 3 times where we were, for the quarter in 24. If you look at our stories, we're down a little bit this year, but we'll get that up and running. And then, our Instagram reels, we've grown from 30 to 49 to 59 for the quarter, so we're sharing a lot more content. And then our Instagram engagement, we are now at almost 4 times where we were for this same period, 2024. So we're now at almost 360,000 engagements for this quarter alone on Instagram. So overall,
What's the definition of engagement?
so that's a like, that's a share, that's a comment.
Any type of.
It's a view, right?
It's
They click on it and view it.
yeah, you gotta click,
Yeah,
yeah.
versus scrolling past.
Right, so you're not scrolling
Yeah.
past, you're actively engaged.
Wow,
with it.
that's
Yeah.
great.
And we hit 1 million engagements last year for the first time, so we're definitely on track to pass that.
Stephen, I'm just curious, and this is just a general question, it's just, I guess, in terms of like, and maybe Corinne would know this too, posts versus stories, versus the reels, I mean, like, do you guys feel like one of those avenues is better performing?
Without a doubt, reels are by far the best performing. If I'm in the reel, it really performs well. So we know that, if So whenever we wanna get a boost and we wanna promote something, I go and,
We don't know if it's your magnanimous personality or your silliness.
it's one of the two, I think, it's not my looks.
Or combination.
But I think the only way really today where static posts work effectively is if you have some type of hyped image. You know, we have a grand opening on this day and you want people to be able to screenshot it.
Right,
So for us, the mechanism that we use of the three really depends on the type of message we're trying to convey.
right, of course.
Yes. So that's my report. We do have one action item to take care of tonight.
Yes.
And then we're gonna skip the board training resources reports, because Alex was gonna make one. He's not here and didn't have a chance to review everything. So the only thing I want to talk about tonight with Main Street America is the state has put out its annual Main Street grant round of funding. Because we won the maximum award last year, $150,000, we are now only eligible to win $20,000. So it's quite a difference. So it's either 150 or 20. There's no in between. So in speaking with Mr. McDonald and this board, we are going to apply to get Bluetooth speakers in the downtown. Remember, we can only use this money in the downtown, but by the nature of Bluetooth speakers, they can actually create a repeating network. So the town could potentially use money to put it onto Upper Millburn Avenue, Short Hill Station. So this would be the genesis of this project. So I've done the application. The application requires that this board pass a resolution. So the resolution is for $20,000 from the state to install Bluetooth or wireless speaker system in downtown Millburn, which is a Main Street, New Jersey designated. That's it.
Can I ask a question? What is, I apologize, you might have said something about this in part of the meeting earlier, but, so is this grant all, like, you can only use for speakers, or are there other things you could use the money
You can use it for virtually anything.
Okay.
This is something that we wanted to do for a couple of years.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've noticed them. You probably have,
The old
but the
ones,
decor
yeah,
system.
they're like from post-war.
So we would take those down, they're
Yeah,
gone.
no, you talked about it,
Yeah.
I feel like you did presentation
talked about it,
on this, but I
So
just
now the
was
grant
wondering,
is up and ready to go.
what is, so like, what do we, like, the benefit of the speakers for like when we're having a World Cup or an event such
Holiday
as,
music.
like, so basically during the holidays and.
No, you can use it
Parade.
whenever.
No, I know, I'm just trying to give examples, so.
Play it
like,
during a
yeah.
parade, you can
Yeah.
do it, you know, if you just wanna play jazz music on a Saturday night, you know,
Right, right.
ambiance.
When I first moved to town,
Yeah.
I have memories of holiday music. And it
Okay.
was, I gotta tell you, I never really enjoyed it when it was here, but it was very nostalgic. You know, you
I think
hear
it
like
did
holiday
play
music in December, you're walking around the downtown and then over time, the system went under.
Right, oh, no, I just was wondering, like.
I know,
if there's something
downtown Denville has them, they're also a Main Street community.
That's a nice touch.
That's one I've seen.
Yeah.
They do a nice job with it,
else.
so
That makes sense.
I don't know what the system's gonna look like. You know, I'm not gonna do the research before we get the grant, but all we need tonight is a vote to authorize this resolution. Then Jackie and Richard need to sign it, and then it goes in the application tomorrow and it gets submitted.
And 30,000 is.
20.
20,000, and but do we price out, like, how much is this, like, is 20,000 or?
That's all I get. So.
No, but I'm just saying, like, should
What
we-
does it buy us?
I'm just saying.
Well,
it's-
we could always use our funds next year, for instance, right, to say, well,
match it or-
yeah, there's no matching requirement. In this grant, it's just $20,000 cash.
Those are
So,
the best.
what's that?
Those are the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gives you more flexibility.
but you gotta be in it to win it, and
So-
Let's do it, let's go.
May I have a motion to approve,
I'm not sure. This is
resolu-
attachment 4.
attachment 4 to Main Street application for 2026 $20,000 grant for Explore Millburn-Short Hills to install Bluetooth wireless throughout our downtown.
I'd like to make that motion, Madam Chair, and I think it's a fantastic idea, and it would really be supportive of our businesses also.
May I have a second?
I'd be happy to second.
Thank you, Mr. Stoller. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Sure, Jackie Lieberberg,
Yes.
Ashley Schultz,
Yes.
Ben Stoller,
Affirmative.
and Richard Wasserman.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. I will take care of this. Jackie and Richard don't leave before you sign this.
Okay. The design, will this go in front of the design subcommittee review? The like the speakers that are selected? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
I mean, we're way
No,
far, but.
I'm just putting that in your head.
Can we get it in before the holiday so we can make the lights dance to the,
That'd be great. You figure that one out. So that.
I can do it on my 85-inch screen.
So Jackie, you're gonna sign next to my name, and Richard's gonna sign the
Can you make a
secretary.
note of that?
Yeah.
You're
Dancing
signing
speaker,
here.
you got it.
Where does she sign?
She signs next where, you see where I wrote my name? There's a second area.
Over here?
This is Jackie. That's Richard.
Okay.
Here, yes. And then Tom, if you could just sign it.
You need to notarize?
Yeah, sure. So while we're at it, we're gonna, Corinne's gonna talk. So the, Christine had brought up some questions about our email database.
Yeah.
And how we collect it, how it's utilized, how it's shared. So I thought we should talk about it tonight. I think it's a good just educational discussion, but I think the best way to do it is Corinne has some data that she drew down, which will give us some context. Then Christine, I'd love to, get your opinions, and also Tom can explain some of the legalities that are related to it.
Okay.
So I'll be the first person to tell you, I wish we had every single person's email address, phone number, age, income, but we just don't have the ability to collect that information, so we have to work with what we have. But Corinne has some pretty good news on what we do have. So Corinne, fire away.
All right, fabulous. Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. All right, so we use MailChimp as our database that we send out our mass emails with, and our total number of email subscribers as of this morning is 3,849. And then, so looking at that data, it doesn't always have all of everyone's information. So total number of email subscribers with their name and either an address or a zip code, and the email, of course, that is 1,066. So that is roughly 28% of subscribers we have this data for. And we then went back and looked at some statistics. So we went back a year. So from April 2025 to April 2026. So about for this 1 year period, because we can't go further than that. In this year, we sent 62 emails, and the open rate was 51.6%. And compared to the national nonprofit average, which is only 40%. And this is per MailChimp. They came up with this data. So, and then the click rate. So a click rate is a digital marketing metric that measures the percentage of people who click on a specific link, ad, or email after they view it. Ours is only 1.6%, which is lower than the national nonprofit rate, which is currently 3.27%. But I will add that we include many links in our emails. So for our weekly or our bi-weekly shop small promos, we do a lot of, like the events coming up, the discounts, the promos, and there's a link behind every single one of them. So people aren't clicking on every single link. So it tracks all the links. So that's why it's so low, because we have so many links. And then bounce back rate. So that is the percentage of emails that were not able to be delivered to these addresses. It is 3%, which is a little bit higher than the national nonprofit rate, which is 1.5%. But we kind of realized a reason for this, maybe because we collect a lot of our email addresses by hand through events, when we do surveys, or when we do our envelope giveaways for shopping. So people write it on it. So sometimes, it may be hard to interpret a name. So that can be why some of them bounce back. And then our unsubscribe rate is 0.12%. And that is slightly lower than the national rate of 0.18%. So that's 0.12, so not even a percent. And then we also compared the total number of emails that were sent to the entire database. So these were mostly for events or the biweekly promotional email. So this was 51. So out of the 62 that we sent in the past year, 51 were ones that went to everyone. And those had 94% of those had an open rate that was above the MailChimp average of 40%. And the ones that were below were I think they were only below by like 2%. So they weren't even that much further below the 40% average. So we do have some challenges with our data collection for this. So we do not host ticketed events, nor do we sell products. So therefore, it's really hard for us to track event participation or engagement with the things that we do. And our goal at these events is to bring as many people as possible to the commercial district and then have them engage with the events, activities, and of course, the businesses as quickly and as easily as possible. We find if you put too many hoops in place, it deters people and they're not going to come. So without any pre-registration or ticket sales for these events and promotions, we then have to rely on people filling out forms at the event, which of course brings challenges in itself. You know, moms with multiple children trying to wrangle them, they're not taking the time to write things down. There could be bad weather and people don't want to stand outside and write it in the rain. People, like I said, they might not, it's an issue they don't write clearly, even if we tell them, even if we ask them, it's still just a scribble. Or we have many times people just do not want to share their information with us. So one method that could help us going forward is the Girls' Night Out, the World Cup, and our Santa's Mailbox Envelopes shopper promos. So we get everyone who's done the shopping to put their receipts in an envelope, fill out their information, and submit it to us for a chance to receive a gift card to a business of their choice. And they allow us, these envelopes allow us to connect the name, email, phone, and zip code of these participants. However, MailChimp does not allow us to track how often people are attending events. It doesn't let us input any of this information. And we have discussed investing in a CRM system, but we really only need emails and zip codes for our communications and data. So we figured it's likely an unnecessary expense, but we are open to ideas. So that is the report.
I just have a question. How are you collecting email addresses for Girls' Night Out? Is it a pre-registration?
No, she just was explaining.
No. Not even.
Yeah, so we
Brittany,
have
where do you wanna
collected
do?
them. Sorry, what was that?
I didn't know if you wanted to say Jackie's question about the email. We're doing a raffle. We're gonna do a free raffle. And
Yes, it's a giveaway. We're gonna do a giveaway, and we're gonna say, like, if you want to sign up for our giveaway for some items, submit your email ahead of time, and then we'll send you information on the event, and you'll be entered into the giveaway. And then we also have a photographer walking around, so they collect some information from the people, so they can send out the photos and then get their emails as well.
Okay,
That's
so
a great idea.
you don't have to register for a swag bag.
Thank you.
No.
Right.
it's not.
We've done that in the past, but it was
Too much.
a lot to manage and try and figure out. And we really just want, like we said, we want to get people coming to Millburn. So
Right.
we try to
The shopper,
not do that.
the shopper envelope and the pre-register for enter to win a raffle.
Okay.
That's how we're doing it.
And also, just as long as we're talking about our service like MailChimp, I'm always concerned, I'm always paranoid about our information because we're a 501c3 and these are our donors and we have members and we're fiduciaries of that information. But do you feel like, are we taking every step we can to make sure that our information, our emails, our sensitive information is safeguarded? Is MailChimp safe enough to, I'm just throwing that out there because all I do is I read all the time about how information is stolen and whatnot.
Mhm.
And I know that for our organization, we have donors, we have members, we have a lot of different people that we serve. It's important to me, and I'm sure as other board members, that we make sure that our information is safeguarded, and we have litigants, we have people suing us. So I just want to ask you just an open-ended question. Do you think that we are doing everything we can to make sure the information is safeguarded?
Yeah, that's a great question. From our end, I know MailChimp does have a multi-factor authentication, which sometimes is annoying for us because I will go and use it, or Michelle will sign in from her computer and then I have to confirm that it's actually her, and then it logs us out after every 2 weeks. So you have to go in again and then do the confirmation process again. So it is, they do require multiple steps. As far as MailChimp in general, as far as I know, but I definitely would be open to doing a little bit more research into that and just double checking.
Yeah, because I think that that's something we should just keep an eye on, like especially.
Of course, yeah.
If there's anything else that we can invest in, just to make sure that our information is safe, just going forward, we're growing, I mean, I know it's just a slide thing, but I think it's important that we make sure this information stays.
And then the larger picture of it is, so the 3 staff, we use our own personal laptops. But we don't store anything on our hard drive,
Right.
everything is in a Google Drive. So hopefully, that was set up obviously to protect our documents from being stolen by anybody, but they're there, they're accessible if necessary, and they're duplicated, right, on the cloud, whatever the cloud means. But I think, for the most part, we have a fairly robust, we're not the CIA, but
Yeah,
No, I'm just throwing that out there, as long as we're talking about our information.
yeah, data breaches are always a concern for any organization, but I think, for an organization our size with the budget we have, I think we have a pretty safe system.
Good.
I wanna go back to my other comments on this stuff, but I just wanted to address Richard's comment. Just my experience is larger organizations don't use MailChimp, but most startup companies that have up to $60 million of funding use MailChimp, as well as so many different small businesses, so it's completely a legitimate platform that's pretty safe. And I just have a suggestion, and I agree with you about not keeping things on hard drives, but Google Drive is publicly, like, they have access to proprietary information. As an executive, I don't keep things on Google Drive, because Google can actually, there's all this contract literature that they actually can just go in and review your stuff and steal your patents, et cetera. Not that there's any patents here, so it's probably not an issue, but I was just throwing that out because it's like a peeve of mine, but yeah, but Corinne, I didn't want to interrupt the rest of your thing, so I wanted to make some comments at the end, but still.
I think she's well done.
I think she's.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm finished.
So did you want me to address my questions
Please.
now? Okay, but I also, I wanna also hear from Thomas, Mr. Slattery, but so thank you so much for taking the time to put that together. I feel like that was very nice of you. I really appreciate it. And I just had a couple of questions, in terms of, and I love your ideas about collecting emails. I think it's the perfect way to do it. What you spoke of, I think that's a great idea. So the only thing that I wanted to ask you about is you guys are basing these, click-throughs, open rates, conversion rates on, it's not really truly a conversion rate, but on a nonprofit, organization status, which is probably, I'm guessing, because I haven't looked at the specs, would have a lower open rate, maybe I'm wrong on that, than a retail organization. So maybe just look at that as your benchmark. And then maybe even in a small business retail organization versus a large scale, like a Macy's or whatever. And then what I wanted to ask you is, of the 3,849 subscribers, what percent of those subscribers are actually and when I say non-customers of our town, people that either own stores or are, retail merchants leasing space, or are friends of Explore, just like New Jersey, downtown, Main Street America downtown.
What percentage are not?
I wanted to understand what percentage are actually real customers
Yeah.
versus,
Okay.
people that are just on there, because I noticed, that, on Instagram, for example, a large percentage of the subscribers, the followers are definitely, they're not necessarily customers. So I do think that's really important when you're looking at metrics to parcel that out, in terms
I
of
would
your
say-
email subscribers.
Anecdotally, I'm not gonna give you the exact number, but, so you're saying these are people that may live in Millburn, but they're not, you want to eliminate business owners, property owners,
Well,
government
so
officials.
if, I'll give you an example, if the guy who owns Vinnie's or, Pan Pizza is on your list, he's
He
not
doesn't
really a
count.
customer. Okay, so if the guy who owns that building is on your email list,
Yeah.
because they wanna be on your email list because they wanna get all the information, so I would imagine all those people are on your email list.
I would say
you
it's
know-
probably about 25%.
Okay, so
I would say the 75% are non-business property owners.
75 to 75%.
That's just a roundabout number, kind of knowing
Okay,
what our weekly distribution.
I agree with that. Yeah, that estimate.
I would say probably 25%
Cause it feels
versus.
pretty big on just like anecdotally looking through all the likes and stuff and the followers on Instagram, but so I just wanted to understand is in your database, your cohort analysis, if you can put like people who are actually real customers, whether they're from Summit, local, and in terms of getting the zip code sort out, that's really helpful so we can get stats on like, okay, what percent of total are shopping here from Summit? What percent of total shopping here from Union? I think it's really, really important when you're catering to clientele. So and I know that's hard to get, but like you can sort of by zip
So
code if they fill it out.
we've done that on occasion.
Mhm.
So we've really been successful with that when we've done, and it's a small sample,
Right.
but Town Hall Plaza. When we do a survey during the summer, we do ask people where they're from.
Mhm.
So we've gotten good data there, but it's specific to that one event.
Mhm.
So I hope that with the envelope program now for those 3 events that Corinne mentioned, that you don't have to win to submit the envelope,
Right.
all you have to do is shop. So I think over the term of those 3 events, we'll get a pretty nice sampling because we're asking people for
Yeah.
their zip codes.
And also, what about taking your existing email database and emailing those people? I'm assuming they opted in, like that you could email them and ask them that information and ask them to participate, do you want to participate in this? It might be a way to capture that data. So you have a better,
Doesn't hurt to ask.
more robust list. So I just wanted to understand that, and I understand what you're saying about all the other issues. So, and I guess my next question would be for you, why people who are on the board can't view this list and why this is a legal issue?
You're saying why can't you view the entire email,
Right, if I wanted to take raw data, not that I'm gonna sit and do that, I'm just saying if I wanted to take a raw data list and like just go through and play with it myself and just get my own assumptions, just for information to give feedback or, directives, like
Well,
why
so
can't
there's a
somebody do that
difference-
if it's on the board?
there's a difference between, well, primarily because the board, it goes back to a data protection issue, like Richard was mentioning earlier.
Mhm.
The primary issue is that the board's function is not to do that. The board's function is not to go through the email list and see who's from Summit and who's from Millburn. That's what Steve is supposed to be doing. So if in connection with Steve, you wanted to sit down and have a look at it, I think that's fine. But for data retention purposes and for security purposes and for, we also have Oprah and other, we're quasi-government, right? So we also have obligations to protect people's PII, their personal identifying information, from disclosure. So in order to have consistency and a policy that's consistent for everyone, you have to draw a line somewhere. So typically when a board member wants data, it gets anonymized in some way. You either get a redacted version or you get something that's been, in some way encrypted so that certain data can't be removed from that document for any other purpose. And so the bottom line is the board's role is supposed to be more like a 10,000-foot role, not going through specific Excel sheets. That doesn't mean that can't happen.
Sure.
But if it does, then that data has to be secured first.
Right.
And that means that we're not looking at Steve at Explore Millburn, we're looking at, either a blank cell or some kind of information in that cell that's been replaced for security
So
purposes.
just 2 examples. So Christine, today was just to gather data, but if you said, hey, I wanna sit down with you guys in 6 months and do the same thing you did today, right? Let's update our numbers. I'm gonna come to the office, I'm gonna sit with you guys while you go through the Excel sheet.
Right.
That would protect the data, right, which is good, but would also allow you to do the exercise you wanna do.
You don't need to explain all that to me. I mean, I know that, cause I led a team of people and I reviewed those cohort analyses all the time, as like a chief merchandising officer. So I guess what I'm trying to understand is that, pretty much any assistant level person in a company could have access to that data, like as long as you were, working on that project. I mean, obviously somebody from shoes isn't gonna look at, somebody in handbags
Well,
data.
let me use a government
So just-
example real quick. So
Well-
so there's the mayor's message or whatever, the Millburn
Right.
message, right, that goes out every week. Ben can't go to the public information officer and say, I want the list of all the phone numbers and emails that received that. So it's the same parallel as to why you can't ask us for that same information.
then I can't, you know,
Cause it's not,
somebody's
it's
an
not
expert in
private
that.
business, that's the key, right?
No, I understand that, but
Yeah.
you don't have somebody who's an expert in that on your team, and so you're saying that, like, for the benefit, I mean, I have a responsibility as a board member on voting. I have a responsibility to make sure that we're looking at things from an analytical perspective.
Well,
Wait,
what
let me
about,
finish
what about
this.
what you're saying
No, you're
requires you
cutting
to
me
see
off.
the actual
Don't
email?
cut me off,
I wanna
please.
get to the point,
No,
to the
you
point.
just cut me off, and you totally broke my thought, please stop, okay?
Sharon's in charge here.
No,
Sharon.
I'm allowed to talk, okay, so it seems like you're
Okay, we
trying to
know.
cut me off. I'm sorry.
Keep going, keep going.
Who has had a long-term marketing, do you know what a cohort analysis is, Steve? Like, do you understand how to do it? Like, why
Christine.
can't I do that?
Christine,
I don't understand.
Christine, if you wanted to know how many people
Turn
are,
your thing on, sorry, Jack.
if you wanted to know how many people were in Summit and use that data for an email distribution or to send out something, that's all possible. But the other thing is, people give their proprietary information to explore. You as a board member, help me here, Mr. Slattery, because I think where I'm going is, I have no access to that individual because it was not given to Jackie, it is not
Right,
given
it's given to
to
Explore.
Ben or Steve, it was given to Explore for a specific purpose of using
Right.
for marketing purposes.
Right, and that's all it's being used for, it's being used for somebody who has a marketing
Who has,
background to
no,
look at it
but you,
and give some
but
advice.
But you as a board member does not have access to that as a board member.
So corporately, people who are board members are not, you're telling me, I'll talk
To the
my
best of
husband's
my
attorney.
knowledge,
Okay.
to the best of my knowledge, and Mr. Slattery can answer, and I
Well,
think
never
Steve,
was that.
I can answer that, I mean, I sit on a number of different boards for larger companies. And I chair a couple, I mean, I can't request personal information on any of our customers. It's just.
You can get the data in the abstract, in the broader picture, but you're not gonna be getting people's cell phones and addresses and emails.
You can't even get, you can't even
And
get
in
a
fact, my
subcode,
general
that's not
counsel
personal information.
would say, do not do it, cause if
Yeah,
something
well,
happens.
It's a security risk,
Right.
absolutely, and we have extra risk on top of that because of our quasi
But that
governmental
being
relationship.
said, if we had some type of breakout group and a meeting with you and wanted to say, hey, how can we improve this, et cetera, and Christine wanted to be on that task force or group, we could, subcommittee.
So
thank you.
in other
They
words,
could do that and come through there and do it on site,
absolutely.
but I
And-
agree,
and-
no one should be able to get a download of that database, be able to walk around with it and.
I mean, I don't think I'd be walking around with it, I mean, maybe that is the case, but I'm saying that right now, is that you don't even know who you're marketing to, and you're just answering
That's
yes
not
to
true.
questions. You don't.
That's not true.
What percent of customers are from Summit that come shop here?
well, no, we have that information.
I've never seen it.
So
Well, no,
But
we're also talking about
But why
two
do
different
you-
things. The
but-
question of how many people in your database are from Summit can be answered
Right.
without providing you their emails, addresses, and whatever other information they gave to us. That's the
I just
distinction
wanna
we're
have
drawing.
transparency to the raw data, that's all.
Yeah,
But that's,
but
you know,
feel,
you guys
but
give it to me, it's
Christine,
fine.
can I
No, no,
ask you,
I-
I mean, why do you feel that you need people's emails?
Well, I don't think it's an
Can-
issue of giving it to you, I think if you wanted to sit inside somebody's office and look at it, I don't think it'd be a
But
problem.
it could be even simpler than that, so if Christine said, I would like to see the database, and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, I'd like to see the database and I'd like to see, as MailChimp breaks it down, I wanna see the zip codes. Right, that would answer your question,
Yeah, I just
but
wanna
I
see a
can't
spreadsheet
provide
with
you
zip
an
codes and
entire
email
spreadsheet
addresses.
that has email addresses
So,
on it.
but you requested to have the data, I mean.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, you know, like I said, I mean, every executive at any organization, and this is an organization that is pretty ad hoc, because you have basically 2 employees and a staff of people, and, you know, from what I can see anecdotally, looking at Instagram, just anecdotally scrolling through it, that the percentage of followers on this account are not necessarily customers. I don't see anybody following from Summit. There are a lot of people that are, you know, in this industry or, you know, business owners, et cetera. And so, you know, I'm just saying, if you have an event and you market it, and you spend all this money to have an event, let me finish, and you don't market it to the right people, then it doesn't really matter, okay? So that's like, it's like spending all this money to have something, and so these guys do an amazing job on events, and I don't think that our marketing's tight. That's it, and so as somebody who, at least I could quickly look at something, not being allowed to do that, because you're afraid like some zip code's gonna be leaked out, I mean, I don't know, I mean,
A
like I
zip
said.
code or email or cell phone numbers, I mean, we're fiduciaries of a charitable organization, a 501c3 here. We're fiduciaries of that.
I understand that, but
So
but I'm also,
let me
I
ask you a
work on the
question.
board.
If
But
you
what-
got,
but
if you
what-
got your way, Madam Chair, can I answer? So if you got all this raw data, you put this on your laptop to analyze it, and then your laptop got stolen or got breached or something, then you're gonna put us in liability because we're.
But that could happen with, if I worked for Macy's or
Yeah, but
Bloomingdale's
it
or
wouldn't
any other
happen here
company.
because we won't give we won't give that personal information out because we're fiduciaries of it. In other words, you can come in and work with Steve and work with the staff, but I don't understand why you need email, cell numbers, this is very, very sensitive.
Because I don't think
information.
there's transparency in the marketing by seeing charts, Richard, I'm sorry,
By
okay,
seeing
that's,
charts or getting raw data.
when you see raw data, somebody who's skilled can manipulate it and review it and do their own charts and see what they wanna see instead of having it be controlled, but that's okay,
I'm
they're
not
not
sure,
gonna
are
keep
you
marketing.
looking for a smoking gun of some sort? I mean, the
No, I'm looking-
KPIs show
These are
performance
charts.
over a period, this is KPIs.
Amazing.
No, KPI is not a chart, please, Ben.
Yeah.
It's
There are
not.
charts.
You have no idea, a key performance indicator could be a chart, it could be a series of
No,
numbers, it could be anecdotal.
It's
That's what
a
it
key
does.
performance indicator is a benchmark, okay, it's like saying this is the benchmark, whether it's a number or whatever it is. A chart is a physical chart, okay, like, I don't.
Christine,
Well, this is-
I don't wanna get into this, it's fine.
you're the mayor's representative, you're not voting mayor, you're the mayor's representative.
Yes,
Did the mayor ask you to get this raw data?
I actually brought this up in many meetings when I came to some of your meetings prior as a township resident and asked for that information and I wasn't able to give
I
it.
mean, but as a mayor's representative.
No,
did
the mayor has no
Does he
idea
know that
that,
you're
Have
asking?
you discussed this with Frank?
I have not discussed this with Frank, I mean, I
So you're
discussed.
doing this on your own?
This is what I did for a living, and so I
I
just,
just wanna clarify where it's coming from.
oh, it's coming from me, 100%.
Okay, great.
Do I share stuff with Frank? He pointed me to basically tell Frank everything that goes on in the meeting. I don't know.
I
how to
just
do that,
wanted to
but-
see whether he wanted,
Well, Frank's
do
not
that.
wasn't a marketing executive, he's a tech person,
yeah,
so.
but you represent him here. You're the mayor's representative and you're asking us to breach a policy.
Well, I don't know, where's that policy printed?
No, it's,
As fiduciary of
As-
information.
it's the example that I think Steve illustrated, the same way that the database of residents, that information is provided to the township. Just the same way that the information of a resident in Summit or a resident in Millburn-Short Hills provides it to the organization. They do not provide it to the individual members of this committee. It's provided to the
Does
organization.
Michelle have access to that information? It sounds like she's got access to MailChimp and she's a part-time employee, does that count?
But she's an employee,
Part-time.
she's not using the data,
Consultant?
she's not using the data for anything other than an
Okay.
Explore related.
Right, and that's all I would be doing
And-
for too, Jackie, I'm not gonna go sell the data to Bloomingdale's, hey, you got these customers, I'm trying to look at it to help. I have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the money that comes into this
But what
budget
is
pot,
what is the date, what is,
you just
whether
don't
or
always see
not-
it, that's the reality, okay?
whether or not somebody's email address, I don't see the correlation.
Because you've never doing more marketing cohort analysis, that's why you don't see the
But
correlation.
if in fact you believe that this
Well, it would have been easier to say, hey, let's do this analysis, let's work together, let's create a subcommittee and let's go through it, not just asking for the raw data, give it to me. As create a subcommittee, you go through the different pieces that you want in a fashion that's controllable, in a controllable fashion versus, hey, just give me the raw data, it just seems weird.
Okay, well, I don't
I
think
would
it's weird
never
at
ask
all,
for raw
Ben.
data,
Why did-
any,
I think
An
it's
entire company at a startup that got $60 million, every single employee had access to the raw cohort analysis, it was presented in every business meeting on Monday mornings.
So I just wanna explain just one more time what I can provide you and what I can't. So.
It's, you explained it, okay, I think we're in an impasse,
No,
I
I
don't
wanna, I
agree.
just wanna say it so that I just
And
get it out there.
it is what
So
it
if you
is.
said, Steve, give me an Excel sheet that has everything you draw down in MailChimp, I can't do that, because it has private
I know
information.
you said that in your email already,
But
I
if,
got it.
yeah, because I'm following the rules, but if you said, if you said, I just wanna see the zip codes, or when these people signed up and entered MailChimp, because you wanted to look at a trend of growth, that's fine. I just can't provide you phone numbers, emails, and names.
Think of it this way,
There's no debate.
think of it this way, my investor base, say that we're managing a private investor, a public investor company and such. Hey, I need a list of all the investors, send it to me, versus what percentage from the
Yeah.
northeast, southwest, west coast, et cetera. I would never take it, cause first thing you're gonna do is be accused of poaching those investors, et cetera. Not that this is the case, but it's a similar analogy for what's happening here to getting the raw data.
But
Let's
how-
create a subgroup, put you on a subgroup, put you in a place where you can actually look at it and do a cohort analysis.
Well, I mean, I'd be fine just sitting with Corinne and looking at her screen and having her pull it up, that's fine.
But that's not what you asked. You asked, give me the data.
Well,
The raw
I'm
data.
settling for that because you guys are like buckling up and not allowing me to do that, so it's
I
totally
don't think
fine.
anybody's.
But how would
I'm
giving you
buckling up.
email addresses help you do a cohort analysis?
It's just to have everything there that you can have, it's just easier to look at something, like if you had somebody's household spend, I'm giving you an example,
I
like,
love it.
I know you can't get that, so I understand that, but it's just, you know, it's easier to, I mean, I guess you could just do it.
Well,
I'm
yes.
just tired, you guys, it's like you win, okay, you know what, you have no
It's
problem.
it's a risk management issue, both as a nonprofit and a government entity. Both of those organizations would be required to protect this data, including from the board.
I sit on the township committee, where I request a list of every resident, their email, their phone numbers,
No, they wouldn't give it to them. You can't get that.
If you think that
impossible.
our reach to
Can I get that?
No.
potential shoppers is not where it should be, then maybe Explore should look into maybe purchasing an email listing or some kind of database that would give us further bandwidth, or doing a mailer or something of that nature that to capture those customers. If the impetus for this list is to look at the data and say, okay, so-and-so lives on Ashwood Road in Summit, and we need to get more people that live on Ashwood Road in Summit because of their demographic, and we wanna try to get them to shop in Millburn, then then that's a different kind of question than looking at our data. If you're looking to, if you believe that the data isn't, that the Instagram and the data is not where it needs to be robust enough to support our local businesses, well, that's a different kind of question.
Well, I think that's
That's the reason why, so
Right.
therefore, then maybe we look at a way to enhance our customer database, but not from looking at our existing.
As somebody who's like, did
It's
that
not-
for a living, I can't help you guys without being able to view things, so I won't be able to help you.
But you've made a certain assumption about the bandwidth and about the subscriber list not being robust enough to
It's
support.
really easy to do,
But
all
so
you have to
if
do is
you
scroll
sat on the
down
township,
to
if you were
Instagram
voted
posts.
by 70% of a 24,000 population residency, and you were sitting on the township committee, you think they should give you the email, the phone number, and the name of every resident, spouse, kids,
I'm not
whatever?
comparing this, that's a totally different case, I don't know the difference between it, this is a 5013C quasi-government thing, so it's totally different, it's not the same.
With all the more reason, we're subject to the same,
Fiduciaries of
it's
information.
the same.
Right, but also sometimes you guys have said in multiple meetings, I think that we can do what we want because we're not part of the township, so I don't.
I don't
But we're
think-
still,
I don't
we're
ever
still a
remember
government
saying that.
entity.
I never
Oh, I'm
said
just, well,
Who said
that's what
that?
I heard, you
Who
guys
said
said
that?
that.
No, that's entirely
that?
different things. That means that the township committee cannot instruct Explore directly what to do. They appoint the board, and the board appoints Steve and hires consultants,
Right.
and then they execute the plan per the ordinance and the assessment every year. That is not the same as having state obligations, state laws that we must follow when it comes to personal identifying information.
Thank you.
Okay.
Then maybe I'll just stop it. Okay, that would be helpful. I asked for that, and you didn't respond to my email, so that's why this was brought up to this meeting.
I didn't respond to your email because you and Steve agreed that it would be on this agenda and we would discuss it today.
It was just discussed.
Public comment. Public is invited to provide comments at this point in the meeting. Clearly state your name for the record and limit comments to 3 minutes. Prepared statements must be sent to Steve at Explore. This is a business meeting and professional decorum must be maintained. If a speaker engages in disorderly conduct that disrupts the meeting or is meant to intimidate attendees, they will ask to cease their public comment. All comments must be directed to me, the chair. At the conclusion of public comment, members of the board may respond or ask our staff or attorney to do so. Staff and attorney will not answer questions without a request from board. I invite the public to speak. Public session is now open, so if you'd like to get to the lectern,
Okay. I'm
so
here.
just
You have to stand there.
Oh,
so you can record it.
wow.
You get to-
I
you
wasn't,
get to present.
I wasn't anticipating this, but okay.
It's being recorded for the record,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
so please state your name
Okay.
and
I told her, don't say her address, we don't
Okay.
say that anymore.
Okay, I'm Nancy Updike. I live in Millburn. I live very close to Taylor Park and I'm in town a lot. I love Millburn. I'm disappointed in the nature of the cleanliness of the downtown. I know the public works are out there all the time and the town spends a lot of money on so many different projects. But I don't know what the correlation is between the business owners and the township, excuse me, or the business owners and this group here. I feel like the downtown, in front of the stores are not maintained well. And I don't know what can be done. I know when I walk, and I'm in town all the time, so sometimes I feel like I'd like to take my dustpan with me and a
garbage bag.
yeah, because I know some of it has to do with stores that are empty. And I don't know, is there any regulation of an owner that they have to clean the property in front of their door, even if they are not, it's not rented?
Is there a particular address if like, what are you?
Well, of course, the one corner right across from Starbucks, but that, where the shoe store used to be, I mean, it's years, it's not weeks, months, it's
Which one,
years.
which one?
Butters.
Oh, Butters, yeah.
I mean, it's a mess, and I don't know if the township is responsible for, when they do all their cleanup, are they not supposed to clean up in front of the door of a store? Or is it, I think it would benefit the owners of the tent, like, I know there must be a business alliance or something. It would benefit all the stores if the business owners would maybe group together and agree to, we have this problem, we can't force the owners of Fudders to clean up the store that's not rented, but maybe they take, and that you couldn't force the neighbors, the neighboring businesses to clean your neighbors in front of the store, but the way the street presents itself benefits everybody. And I just feel like it's not, you say, well, during COVID, a lot of stores closed, and then you have a storm, there's a lot of reasons, but overall, there are many businesses take care of their front door themselves. But a lot of them don't, and I don't know if there's some avenue to force owners of the property to maintain their property for the benefit of the whole street. I'm looking for a more pristine, clean town that would benefit not only the business owners, but the people that you want them to come and buy and shop and be part of it. Sometimes it's not appealing, those streets are not, am I running out of time? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is, at the end of public comment, we'll address all the comments.
Okay,
Yeah.
So yes,
Just.
So just hang tight for a few minutes.
okay.
Thank you for your comments.
Public comment should be over in about
Thank you.
6 minutes. This is not a township committee meeting.
Vicky Powell, business owner, I agree with you, I'm always out there sweeping, I just put my new plants in my planter. I sweep my neighbors, if she's not there, I totally agree with you, I know what you're talking about, you're absolutely right, we should be keeping our own storefronts clean. I think, I see a lot of people out there doing it, but there could be more, so I don't disagree with you. I'm not gonna say anything to Ben about the 2 open seats on the committee still. Steve, mural, I'm seeing some chipping, I don't know when we're doing that next.
It's usually mid-May.
Okay,
So-
and lastly, to address Christine's in this email and Instagram and all that stuff, Instagram is changing. You're not getting the likes on posts, but you're getting the views. It doesn't necessarily mean that a like, that somebody from Summit's not seeing it, somebody from Chatham's not seeing it. The view that Steve and I did, the post that he did for me with talking about my 30th anniversary party, there was only 75 likes, but there was over 2,500 impressions on it. People actually, I don't scroll Instagram anymore and sit and heart every single post. I don't do it. You just don't do it anymore. Everyone is a scroll and they do it and that's what it is. So Instagram and all that stuff is totally changed. So you can't say that even though half the people that there's people that I don't follow, but I look at their page because people don't do that anymore. I mean, I have people that come from New York that's not following me on my Instagram, but know me from my mother, I should say, not me. Know my mother from Instagram and they're driving here to come shop in my store. But they're not like, so social media has totally changed. You can't go, it's not the way it was before, it's totally changed. So that's just my opinion on the thing. It's totally different now. So some of this data is not even used because it's a bigger picture. So that's what I like to say.
Thank you, Ms. Powell.
Do you have anyone online?
We do not.
We can close public session.
Well, before we close public session, I'd like you to respond to.
Or we
We
just
close,
Okay.
yeah, we-
Okay, I'd like to close public session.
This is that old trick of the public can't argue with you.
Yeah, no. You're out of order.
So do you remember when you were mayor, did they teach you that trick? They
Yes.
taught me that when I was a councilman.
Evidently.
Miss Updike, how do you spell your last name, just for the record?
UPDIKE.
I got it right. Okay, so absolutely, downtown cleanliness is always a challenge. We have over 250 businesses in downtown. A lot of them do the right thing, a lot of them don't do the right thing. But also, one of the challenges, and I'm sure you see this, is the customers, right? You go into Starbucks, you get your drink, you leave it on a bench, could have thrown it in the garbage can, it's 3 feet away. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the maintenance side of it and then the code enforcement side of it, but I'll be very brief. So on the maintenance side, I don't know if you heard, we have a maintenance crew that goes from May to September. They do downtown twice a week. They do Upper Millburn and Chatham Road once a week. They go around picking up litter, cleaning out the garbage cans, and they also do weeding. Because a lot of business owners, they're not weed whackers, right? So we do that as well. That's through a grant that the state has, the town has from the state. So they get money from the state, they then give it to us to hire a vendor. We could do it year round, we just don't have the funding. We have the funding from May to September. But it is something that we've done, this is our 3rd year of doing that. We do it during the high periods in the summer. In terms of the buildings, we do have an abandoned property ordinance, and we also have cleanliness ordinances, which code enforcement periodically does go out and enforce. But there is that kind of odd in between, so you use the Futter building, for instance, where the property line ends, right? From the building to the property line is the owner's responsibility. The town can't go and clean that, there's liability issues, et cetera. We actually have our private vendor go in and they'll blow it out and clean it, but it is the property owner's responsibility, and a lot of property owners just don't do it. So we do enforce it from a code enforcement perspective. It's not daily, it's not perfect. I think the solution truly is having someone that goes out and cleans twice a week, which we do have during the summer. I wish we had the funds to do it year round. Because that also addresses the littering, and that has nothing to do with property owners, right? The kids that go out and throw the donut wrappers and.
And on top of that, hey, I'm Ben Stoller from the Township Committee. One of the things too I pressed forward is there's a lot more to the aesthetics of a town than just the litter. It's those god awful light poles that are bent over with the old speakers on it and the lines. So, I think Jamie glommed onto this, he's running with it now, thank God. One of my other TC members, how can we get those replaced? It's about $1 million per mile to replace those, et cetera. So Summit's done a lot of that infrastructure work, Westfield as well and such. We just have to do it as well. Does Westfield have the very hard ones? I haven't been there.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But Summit does. That looks great.
And I mentioned also we're doing power washing. So that bridge that goes next to the Millburn Deli, everybody sees it. It's a hallmark of our town. It gets dirty over the years, and so we're gonna power wash that this year.
And we held the NJT, New Jersey Transit, accountable to the bridge on Millburn, on Wyoming, right over the bridge, had graffiti all over it. It looked disgusting. We had them come out and repaint it blue. It looks great now. And anytime so it's also, having interaction with county and with New Jersey Transit, so.
I would like to make a comment when you guys are done, let me know, please.
No,
I'd like
please
to
do.
answer. So I actually, I completely understand everything you just said to me, okay? There's particular areas in downtown that are cleaner than others, and there's the area between Fudders and down, basically just down towards the Buick Store Gather. Is looking very downtrodden. There's actually a lot of Uber drivers that sit and smoke in front of Butters. That's why there's like debris and trash there all the time. And and Steve just brought this point up, which I think is a very valid point, is that, we're not doing cleanup as much as, they only have budget for a certain amount of time a year. So it might be something, I think it would be very beneficial if you come to a township meeting and you address your concerns there as well. And I do think that, yes, I've seen things like there's nasty wires that have been sitting in front of Goldberg's, owners complained to me multiple times, and they've been there for literally months on end. I personally stepped out into a pothole in the tree wells because they don't mulch twice a year. I stepped into mud and then got to almost trip over those wires, so I get it. There's just a lot of debris, the shop owners, and I think that it goes back to code enforcement. And also having the township take the responsibility for cleaning or giving the board more money to do that. So I think it's a very valid point of view. And we need to code enforce and make sure shopkeepers paint their doors, et cetera, and Butters does not. So I understand, so.
And
thank you for
certainly, I'm gonna give you my card afterwards. You can email me. We also have an SDL portal.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever used that.
No.
You can call me and I can show you how to do it, but you basically just put a complaint in and you can say, we have
You push the C-click fix.
C-click fix. It's there's a broken brick on the sidewalk or whatever it may be.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a complaint, it's a suggestion.
It's a suggestion, but I mean, that's how actually Public Works prioritizes their work.
Oh, okay.
And so,
And it gets it documented too, so every time it gets signed off on, you get a response, like when it's finished.
Oh, okay.
but there's a lot of, as you probably heard tonight, there's a lot of jurisdictional challenges, right? Who's responsible for what? So, Christine brings up a great point about those wires hanging off the pole at Goldberg's. I've seen them. Probably JCP&L. I'm not gonna go and cut them. It'll be a live wire for all I know, right? And so you get all of these things where you've got gas companies, electric companies, cable companies, the county, the town, the CID. We're talking about tree pits. We're responsible for 70 tree pits. The town's responsible for another 20. We have responsibility over tree pits for, we actually, there's not even one entity that just does tree pits. So there's a lot of these jurisdictional problems. But certainly anytime you have a question about it, don't necessarily go immediately to the complaint. It's, well, who probably is responsible for this? And let me try to find out how I can access them. So the C-click fix is a great way of doing it because then it goes into that intake. And if it goes to Public Works and they say, well, no, that's actually a JCP&L issue, it can be channeled the right way.
Oh,
And it puts it on the record.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Anything else from any of the board members?
I'm sorry, I was just waiting till he was finished.
I'm sorry.
So I just wanted to address Vicky, thank you for explaining your perspective on, you know, and I do agree with you, there are people that don't follow pages, I don't follow lots of pages and just randomly hop on them, but I think I was using that, and I'm sure there's a certain percent of your total customers that don't follow your page, but I was using that as an example that we don't have a very large database of customers to market to, at least when I go through and see most of the followers or people that like the page are either people on the board, people that own businesses, or organizations that are tied to Explore or property owners. And so when that represents a total percent, somebody of the likes or comments on a page, you know, one could infer anecdotally that, you know, is that what our email list looks like? And that's why I'm very passionate about trying to find out what that is, because my purpose on this board is to use my retail expertise to actually benefit the merchants and the business, you know, and the property owners. I mean, that's really why I wanted that information, but thank you for sharing that. And I'd love to hear more about what you have to say about modern Instagram.
Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
May I have a second? Our next meeting will be May 28th.
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Any opposed?
No.
Good night, Millburn.